Hi, and welcome to your first KAT tutorial on Photoshop. So first we're just going to start out with the very basics. So this is just a very first basic tutorial where we'll go over the layout of everything and how things kind of work in Photoshop. We'll have other tutorials later on that show you the more specific details of tools and how to make your own yearbook page and things like that. So first, we've opened up Photoshop, and right now nothing's going on in the front. So we have to open up a new file. So you go up here to File, and then you scroll down to Open. That's if you already have a Photoshop one you want to open. So instead, go here to File and go to New, and it's going to bring up whether you want a new one and what size you want it. So it may start in inches, it may start in pixels. Those are the two main ones we're going to use. Inches is the more intuitive one, that when you know the dimensions like a regular piece of paper, we have our width of 8.5, our height 11. And then the resolution, it depends on what you want to do with it. If you want to print it and have it really nice quality for a photo, you want it 300, but it will show you the image size right here. So that's a pretty big one. Just to start out with. Even if you go down to 150, it will be much less. So 150 is still a decent size, and it'll be good for any flyers or anything like that. So we'll start out with 150. The only time you really want to do pixels is if you're making an image for a web page, and everything is measured in pixels. Then, so if you know the pixels, you're doing it for a website, you go to pixels. Otherwise, make sure that you have it in inches and you have the correct dimensions. So just push OK, and then you have this canvas come up here. When it's this checkered gray and white, that's just transparent. That means there's nothing behind it. So this is our very blank document. So to go through the layout here, we will start over here on our left. This is our toolbar, and these are a lot of the main tools that you're going to use. This is just your little selection toolbar, and again, we'll go through a lot of these a little bit later on. This is your move tool, and then these three here are all your selection tools. With any of these tools, there are multiple tools in that little area. So if you right click, then it will give you options for different ones to choose from, just depending on what you need. So some of the ones that we'll be using, we have a little healing brush for when you're working with people and you want to take out blemishes or things like that. This is just our general paint tool, so you can click that. This is your color selection tool, so you could pick whichever color you want. You could just start drawing. If you want to draw in a straight line, you click and you hold shift and you start drawing that direction, and it will automatically go in a straight line. Same thing for going up, shift and go up. So right here, this is your little history button right here. This shows you everything that you've done. Now if you don't have this history bar up, you want to go to Window, and all you do is click History. So if it's not on, you just go down, find it, and click History, because this is a nice one to have up, and you can either put it over here and it will come up there, or if you don't like it there, I like it floating here because I use it a lot. And here, anything that you've done previously, you can throw in the trash. Obviously you can do edit undo, but that only does one step. With this, you can go back. So I could throw all these in the trash, or I could just double click this first one and it will go back to my very first one. Or even go back to new and it will take all of those away. So going back to over here, this is your eraser button. So let's say I did want to keep this little brush stroke here and my eraser. One of the important things about both brushes and erasers is you can change the size with your right and left bracket keys. So the right bracket key makes it bigger, the left bracket key makes it smaller. So that's a very quick, helpful shortcut there. So you can erase whatever you want. Again, if you don't like what you did, you can come up to the history and throw away a couple of them. You have your paint bucket tool, and underneath that is your gradient tool. And You have things like smudge. Your text tool is important. Again, whatever you have selected down here is what color it will come out. So you got your little text bar. Over here is the size, the style. You can pick different ones. Pick like a fun one here. Say KAT, but it's not big enough. So you can change the size of it in one of these little corner pieces. Sometimes it's a little fidgety. There. Just make it bigger this way. So there's KAT. If it doesn't fit on your screen, you go back to the Move tool and just scroll it over there. Now, if it's too big to fit on your screen comfortably, you can transform it. You can either go up to Edit and Free Transform, or the shortcut to that is to just hold Control T on your keyboard, and then you can transform the size. And this works for any image here. And press Enter to select, or to agree to that. And we have our little pan tool. You can pan over and across. That's usually when it's bigger. Another helpful shortcut is zooming in and out. You have this as your zoom tool here, and you can select bigger or smaller. But a shortcut to that is holding the Alt key and then rolling on your mouse just forward and backwards, and wherever you hover over is where it will zoom in or out to. So those are some of our basic tools. We'll go much more in detail in the next tutorial on those. Now up here you have a lot of your different selections. File and save. This part is important. When you want to save your document the first time, you go to File, Save As. And for us, we like to save a lot under our Dropbox. So go to Recent Places. Keep our Dropboxes here. Here's our Dropbox. And we'll go under KAT. Wherever we want to save it on KAT. Remember, everyone can see it here. We'll go to Flyers and Handouts. Now, the difference between how you're going to save it is really important. The PSD files, right now it's saved as PSD. Those are Photoshop files, and they're much, much bigger than regular JPEG or image files. And that's because they can hold many, many images within them that you're working on. So if it's a work in progress and you might come back to your project, you definitely want to save it as a Photoshop file. You might want to save it as a JPEG as well. If you do want to save it as a JPEG and all you'll get is what you see on the screen, then you scroll down here to JPEG and see all the images will pop up instead of the Photoshop files. These are just very flat image files. So they're also much, much smaller. You want to make sure and title it something that everyone knows. So we'll say tutorial, and it will save as a JPEG, and then all it will save is what we see right here, is this KAT and the little line. It won't, however, save all of my different layers and things like that. When you save it as a JPEG, this little screen pops up, and it will give you a preview of the image size. So your maximum quality is 12. It's usually good to save under those unless you're emailing it to someone or something like that. And then you can just scroll across, say to medium quality of 7, and it's a much smaller size. So we'll save it there, and then it will be set. If I try to exit now, it will still ask me if I want to save my PSD because I haven't saved it. I only saved a JPEG. So the PSD includes several layers. It includes both the KAT text right here, which you can find in the layers over here, and I can turn this off or on. Or it includes my little line right here, which again I can turn off or on. So when you're working in Photoshop, you can have 20, 30 layers over here that you probably worked really hard to get to where you want. So to save the PSD, you'll save all of those as well. Over here is this nice adjustments layer, and we'll work with that a little bit next time as well. So we have pretty much our basics. To import images, you can open them with Photoshop, or if you don't know what images you have and you just want to kind of play around with Photoshop, you can go ahead and open up your web browser there. And I like to go to public images because those images are public domain images, because these are free and open to the public to use. So you won't have any copyright issue with these. I personally like, where is it? This publicdomainimages.net. So you just click on here. A bunch of pictures come up, and you can search for whatever you want. So I went in here. So be careful when you go to these. These are the free pictures on top here, and these ones are ones that you have to pay for on the bottom. So, and you can also add your own pictures to this public domain as well. We can go up here and search for martial arts. And for the free ones, they don't have a ton of good ones. Ooh, they have this cool Shaolin temple though, so click on that. To download from this site, first you have to look at it at its full size, so you get a little plus sign here. And this comes up. That looks nice. Now to download it, you just go down to this download picture, and the screen will pop up, and you want to just say open with Photoshop. And now a separate tab will pop up in Photoshop. So now we have this tab here. So we can move this into our current document a couple ways. We can move our little tool button, and first you have to, it has this little lock button here. You double click it to unlock it, and then you can just drag it over to your other layer like that. Another option you have are these selection tools here, and you can select, or if you didn't want the tree, you could keep the tree out. Just select to that point. Press Control Copy. Select here. Control V. Control C is for copy. Control V is for paste. And as you can see, now we have two of these. One that doesn't have the tree, and this other one back here that does. Now, these layers interact with whatever one is in front. Whatever one is up top is the one in front. So if I scroll this down behind the KT, then the other one will pop in front of it. So, you know, you can play around with these different images. Again, to fix the size, you do Control T. If you want to save the proportions, you want to hold Shift as you drag your layer out. This is really important for when you're working with pictures with people, because otherwise they'll look really squished if you forget to hold Shift like I'm doing now, and you squish it really tight. But if you do hold Shift, then it will keep the proportions as they are. If you don't care about keeping the proportions, then you can just do whatever size you want. Press enter, and there you go. So thank you for watching this tutorial. If you're interested in learning more about all the selection tools, that will be on the next tutorial. Bye.